The first, an onion soup. And we're going to start right here. And in this pot, I have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil and about 5 large onions that I have cut up very thinly. And I'm flavoring it with this. This is something called pancetta, and it's unsmoked Italian bacon. And you can find this in an Italian deli. And when you get it, you want to make sure that you're getting a piece that is white colored, so that if you see any yellow fat, you know that that's kind of old. This should be creamy white looking. And all we did was dice this up, put it in with the olive oil first and get it a little bit crispy, and then added the thin onions. And then I just put the cover on and wilted the onions down until they're rather soft. You see how soft this is. So now we've got to add the rest of the flavor agents to this. So we want some lemon. And when you're going to put lemon in anything, make sure that you're using fresh lemon juice. So for this recipe, we want, about 1/4 cup of fresh lemon juice. And this is something called, this recipe is called cipollata, zuppa di cipollata, which means onion soup in Tuscan. And this soup is going to have bread as its base. So here is our lemon juice, and we can put that in right now without the seeds. So in goes the lemon juice, about 1/4 cup. And then with it, I like to add a good dry red wine. A Cabernet Sauvignon would be very nice, about 1/4 cup of that. And that gives just a really nice flavor and a color to the onion soup. So I'm going to turn that up a little bit now and give it a little bit of coarse black pepper and some salt. You should really season as you're going along. So a little bit of sea salt goes in. And now we're going to stir that around and just let that go. This is so simple once you have it started. So let's put the cover on and just let it go. Now I'm going to heat up some olive oil because I told you we need bread with this. So in a separate pan, I've got, about 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And when I do this, I like to make my own bread. But you can get a good loaf from the bakery. You want something that's rather coarse textured. And here's a loaf that I made not too long ago. Does that look good? You know, Tuscan bread is saltless. So we want to cut up, 2 or 3 pieces of Tuscan bread. And this is going to be toasted in the olive oil. And you see how beautiful the crumb is on this with a very nice crust. And it's got some nice holes in it, the way it should look. So I'm going to put this right into the olive oil, right in there. And we're going to watch this now. We're going to let that brown nicely. So we have our bread, we have our onions cooking down, and now we need to talk about the broth that goes into this because we need to put some broth in with our onion soup. So here we have about 5 to 6 cups of beef broth. You could use chicken broth, or you could use even vegetable broth if you wanted to. And it's better if you make your own, but you could also use canned, a low sodium one. So now I want to put this in with the soup and turn this up a little bit. So in goes the beef broth. And you want to put it in hot so you don't bring down the temperature of the soup as it's cooking. This is so delicious as a primo, a first course. So now we just stir that and we let that go, and we have to do one other thing to it later on. So we're going to let it cook and come back over here and see how we're doing on bread because we don't want this to burn. So you want to brown it lightly on both sides and use a good extra virgin olive oil, which is going to give that a really nice flavor. So let's see what we've got here. Ho-ho, that's looking wonderful. And now we're going to turn that off. Looks beautiful. And we need cheeses with this because we're going to put this soup under the broiler. So we want to use some pecorino cheese. So here's a an aged pecorino, not a very hard cheese, but a semi-aged. Here's a soft pecorino, something called marzolino, because it's made in the month of March. And if you didn't have access to either of those, you could use any cheese. Use a Swiss. Here's an Emmentaler. And here they are, grated up. If you did have access to this you would have to cut up because it's very soft. So now we have to have our broiler on, and I have mine on for you. So the breads go in the base of the bowl, just like that. The broiler is on, and you just ladle the soup carefully over the bread. Oh, this is so wonderful. Over the top of the bread. So we sprinkle on some cheese. Give it a good bed of cheese because you want this to be absolutely just melty when you get it out of the oven. So now we have our broiler preheated, and we're going to put this in just until this cheese is nicely melted and brown looking. That's going to take, about 3 or 4 minutes.